So one thing I was curious about is how GTLM GTE compares to some of the other series that you've raced in the past.
GTE, GTLM is the factory class, right? So you got the factory manufacturers, teams, and drivers, obviously. So you have two factory guys all the time. So it makes for a really good show, and it makes for good fights, good talk fights. So yeah, I mean, I've raced DTM, I've raced, coming up through Toy Atlantic and all open wheel stuff. And, a lot of people want to say, oh, DTM must have been really tough, all those great drivers. Well, yeah, I mean, DTM was strong racing also, but a lot of these guys you race against for a long time. Since 2004, I've been a full-time sports car guy, so you end up building a decent respect. I mean, you don't get along with everybody, obviously. There was needling, people talking about it, but honestly, we get it from the driver's side of it. We get along, we have a good respect level. Me and Vielander, we had a good old-fashioned dogfight 4 hours into the race. We had a couple goes of it, and people were like, oh, that was kind of racy. Well, we were racing each other, but either one of us thought there was any drama of wrecking each other, I mean, right. Honestly, we were running close. We passed each other. He passed me back, this and that. I mean, that's racing. That's what people buy the tickets for.
And do you have any rituals for the race? Or
No, I don't have any rituals, that's for sure. But I think the big thing for me is comfort. You got to have a great, comfy race car. You got to be cool with your guys on the team. I also like to, have that comfort at home and where I stay.
Right.
I'm not big on running the practice day and then driving. I don't know how everybody else does it, but we stay in these trailers to track right close to the paddock. So it keeps it easy. You don't have to go out of the track on the race days and practice days because it's really tough. It's a lot of people. It's tough to get in and out.
Has there been a lot of work in the sim leading up to the race?
Since we don't go a lot, obviously, and you don't get a lot of time on the track, then it's great to get a refresher course. You never know what works there is going to work at the track, but we try stuff, we run through stuff. I mean, you don't just sit there and drive laps all day. I mean, we try some things, and if something really stands out, we'll put it in the book.
Does going into the race as the defending GTE Pro winner from last year help with 2017?
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Once you get into it, you don't feel that pressure, but you just know what was, like you said when we started this car was built to race Le Mans. It was built to win Le Mans. That was the whole point. Ford and in Multimag, those guys, it's like Babe Ruth calling a home run. They had called this, and they had to hit it out of the park, and thankfully did. So yeah, I think for our car especially, I definitely feel like if we won it this year, it'd be the cherry on top.
So last year, Ford got some accusations of sandbagging. The stories coming out of the test day this year is that there's a concern that you guys you're worried about a lack of pace compared to some of the competitors. Do you think that's down to BOP or the tyres, or is it the other teams maybe having caught up in the last year?
I don't really like to talk the BOP thing because it's such a slippery slope. The only thing that's clear is that since last year, we got a lot of weight and the boost turned down, right? That's everybody knows that. The only thing I will say to it is that last year we had a great fight with Ferrari. It's not like we ran away with it. We had to fight him. I mean, like I said, Wieland and I were back and forth, and I drafted past him and he drafted right past me. I know from my standpoint, we felt good about a lot of the handling stuff on the car that we had done. I felt good about the tire. We haven't run a race on this Michelin Le Mans tire, obviously.
So Michelin has specific Le Mans spec tires that are different to what you're going to be using.
Something that we wouldn't see. I mean, we have the data from the guys, obviously from the WC guys running it at Silverstone and Spa, right? They've had a couple races on it. So I felt good about the tire, and I felt good about the car. I mean, I think made from a comfort standpoint, you're trying to make Le Mans as comfortable as you can because that place is fast, man. I mean, it's fast, and sometimes to get pace, you got to run trimmed out or whatever you got to do to make the car really on the edge. And luckily, this car was built for Le Mans, so 8 or 9 hours of driving, you don't want to be fighting that thing through the Porsche curves all night long or whatever, because it really changes the sweaty factor. Let's put it that way. That's why I always tell my guys, I get out of the car and they're like, "How's the car?" I'm like, "Look at me. Am I sweating or am I not sweating?" That's your balance check right there.
Back then, presumably, they were driving at maybe 70% of the car's potential throughout the race.
Yeah.
I'm guessing you guys are within 5% of the limit for most of the stint?
I don't know if everybody understands that, what was happening in the 60s. Forget about the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s. I mean, even in the 2000s, still, I've run races where 24-hour races in my career where we were saving. You'd get out, you'd run those first couple hours, see what the pace is, and then pretty much just save your brakes, your gearbox, everything, the engine, whatever. Nowadays, man, for the last few years, you're full tilt, max attack for 24 hours, whatever you want to call it. We're running about as hard as we can for a race pace. I hope we know that everything's going to last. We feel pretty good about it. It doesn't make it, it's Le Mans, it doesn't make it a for sure thing, but I think that we got a pretty solid handle on most stuff. But yeah, I mean, for people that don't know, we'll run as hard as we can and we'll change the brakes. Like we're not trying to make a set of pads go the whole way. Right. The guys have figured out, okay, we're going to change the brakes. Now, how quick can we change the brakes? How can we change them quicker? That kind of stuff.
Do you have something like the Bosch radar system?
Yeah, we have the Bosch radar system. It was developed with that. It's a very cool thing. I don't know if people know, but it's a radar / camera. And when there's a car coming, there's a little, I call it a chevron, like a triangle above the car that marks it. So if the camera were to fail, you would still have the radar markings. Like if it's red, they're closing fast. And then it goes like red, orange, yellow, green. If it's green, they're kind of statically with you. So that helps a lot at Le Mans, especially at night or in the rain, because you can't really see, like you see headlights, and the headlights are so bright, you can't tell how they're closing or what kind of car it is. So when it's red, they're coming at you fast.
The level of concentration that requires is why it's so important to be comfortable in the car.
If you can take those things out of there, right, and that way you can zero in on what the task is, which is driving as fast as you can, then that's better. I mean, knowing where your buttons are, knowing when they tell you on the radio, slow zone or next slow, knowing the procedures, knowing all that stuff, taking all that thing out of the play is what you need to do, because Le Mans is a super high focus track.